and welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you to master your mindset and maximize your money. I'm your host, Lala, international real estate agent, and today we are going to talk about a powerful and a very polarizing topic: mass deportation. Woo, this one's going to be very interesting. So, as calls for removing millions of undocumented immigrants grow louder, we're asking the big questions. How would this impact America's economy, our communities, and its future? Is mass deportation a solution or a setback? I'm going to break it all down with you with my brilliant co-hosts, Athena Gardner, our CPA and wealth coach, and Marlo Layson, our TV, film, and producer. Guys, this is a pretty deep topic, and we're going to kind of break it into pieces. This all stems from an interview that was done and will be presented in full later, but it was with Trump. And we have heard him call for this from the very beginning of his platform. And this is what a lot of the GOP are saying they want. But what does this really look like for our country? So we're going to dive into it. Let's start off with this video, and then we'll dive into the comments.
About mass deportation, one of your big agenda items. You've talked about prioritizing people who have criminal histories.
Correct.
But is it your plan to deport everyone who is here illegally over the next 4 years?
Well, I think you have to do it. And it's a very tough thing to do. But you have to have, you have rules, regulations, laws. They came in illegally. The people that have been treated very unfairly are the people that have been online for 10 years to come into the country. And we're going to make it very easy for people to come in terms of they have to pass the test. They have to be able to tell you what the Statue of Liberty is. They have to tell you a little bit about our country. They have to love our country. They can't come out of prisons. We don't want people that are in for murder. So we had 11,000 and 13,000 different estimates, 13,099 murderers released into our country over the last 3 years. They're walking down the streets. They're walking next to you and your family, and they're very dangerous.
First, we're going to fact check that because we believe in fact checking here, and we are not under his thumb saying that they don't like fact checking. So let's pull up this graphic to show about this claim. Trump claims 13,000 convicted murderers entered the U.S. under Biden. The fact of that is the statistics Trump cited are not about people who entered specifically during the Biden administration. They refer to immigrants who entered under any administration, including his own. So wanted to make sure that that is actually a point that we bring up before we move forward with this. But we got to dig into this because I actually have lived in Florida. Florida is my state right now of home. And I see most of them are suffering right now with agriculture because of this. So Athena, you also live in Florida and you live on the opposite side. We live on opposite sides. So do you feel that mass deportation is a solution to the immigration problem, or does it create a new set of challenges for our country?
I think something needs to happen with the illegal migrants that came here during the time under the Biden administration. I don't know if the Trump administration and their process and how they're trying to go about it is the correct solution for that. But regardless, something needs to be done, right? We just let a ton of people come on here, use up government resources, and just dropped off or shipped off in places like New York, Chicago, and all over the place that have been taxing those neighborhoods and states. And it reflected in how those particular regions chose to vote. And a lot of them chose to put Trump in place because they were frustrated with what was happening within their neighborhoods. I live in South Florida. There's a lot of Hispanics here from Cuba and other Caribbean countries, and also a lot of people from the Caribbean. I'm from the Caribbean here. So I do anticipate that my region specifically will be affected by this as well.
I agree, but I'm going to pose that same question to you, Marlo, because it's a very important question. And those of you who are watching, our viewership family, I would like to hear what you feel about this. Do you think that this creates a new set of challenges for our country, and this is a solution? Marlo, how do you feel about that?
I think there is an issue, right? I think that we've scapegoated certain people and we're not really looking at the issue as a whole, and we're not really being genuine about how layered the immigration issue is, and how many people are here illegally and how people find themselves illegally. I know that there's, we love to show the border, right? We love to show the southern border where the people just walking through the water, they got the backpacks, they got the babies, it's a scene, right? But what we really, really, really are ignoring are the numbers of people who slip through the cracks in the immigration system, who come here on education visas and drop out of school, who come here on certain types of work visas and get out of that profession. And now they're not in compliance with the law. So I think it's definitely a serious issue, but it's a nuanced issue. And us scapegoating poor apparently Latino and Caribbean people that are coming here for a better life is not going to fix the problem, right? We got to look at this with a wide lens and not a super narrow lens like we do with most issues in this country.
I agree. And you did bring up a great point. And let's call out some of the elite who have done this, and no one is calling them on the platform for being deported. Musk is one of those. Elon Musk is one of those who came to our country on a purported type of thing and ended up doing something totally different and was here illegally for many, many years. Trump himself has married women and brought them over here. And before even the current wife was here, she came over on a modeling visa and stayed here incorrectly as well. So what I see, and don't get me wrong, is I believe that there should be processes to this. There should be the right way to do it. But if it's going to be the right way to do it, it needs to be across the board, not just with those who you claim are causing problems in our country. Just because you have money doesn't make it any better for you to be here in our country. So I do want to call that out, and I'm calling it loud and proud. The people who are calling for this the most are the ones who are the elite, who want it their way and no other way. And I'm just not going to back down on that. It just makes me so angry, because living in Florida, when DeSantis, I call him DeSatan, did all of that, there were people. Can we pull up the stats about what industries immigrants usually work on? The agriculture, people left in droves. There was fruit on the ground rotting. There was homes that couldn't be built because the roofers couldn't get it done. So let's break this down on this before we move on. Is relying on illegal immigration is construction, 1.5 million illegal immigrant workers. Agriculture, 244,000. Hospitality, 1 million. General services, 500,000. Wholesale trade, 193,000. So look at this. Okay, so if this is the problem, these people still have to get jobs, right? Why are we not going after the companies that are allowing them to work for them? This is not a one-way street. One-way street is not here. So I need to call it back into a question. So Athena, what impact would removing 11 plus million undocumented immigrants have on our U.S. labor force and economy? We just saw the numbers.
Right. So the immigration thing is a very layered topic. And as an immigrant, I can speak to some of this. America is interested in having two types of immigrants come over. One with specialized knowledge and talent. So that will be your scientists, doctors, nurses, certain professions that will qualify for our H-1B visa, which is a visa that my father had that allowed us to legally come into this country. The other set of immigrants are immigrants that will do hard labor that most Americans are not signing up for, which would be in the industries of construction, farming, things that you laid out. America is not really making enough investments in education and also in wages to incentivize and educate its citizens into going into those industries. So it has kind of allowed illegal migrants to fill in that role. Should we just pick up every single illegal immigrant that is in those industries? Yes, there will be a negative impact, economic impact, because the food that we rely on in the grocery stores will stop showing up. The homes that we're hoping to build, because there's not even enough homes in the inventory in the market as far as new construction. So it will cause a labor shortage that would not have an immediate solution for, and that would negatively impact the prices of those things will definitely go up.
And we're already seeing that with what's happening down in Florida. Nobody's picking those oranges. And a lot of the people who are hiring the illegal immigrants have said that. And he said, this is the quote that he said, white people will not come here and do this job. And when they do, they complain, and they do less than half the work because they're not used to doing this type of labor. So that wasn't a racial thing. That was just the truth. Americans are just not used to doing some of these jobs. Not to say that some people won't, but overall, this is our labor force. But we are so digging more into this. So I'm going to take a deep breath, and I'm going to have a sip of my tea, and we'll be right back after this commercial.
Hey, if you're just tuning in, you are watching Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. I am Tierra Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood, and I am the proud producer of this show. So I hope that every day when you join us, you leave a little smarter than you came, because that's the point. Otherwise, why are you watching? So if you want to receive notices for when we go live, Fly Nubian Money goes live every single day. That's Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you don't know, now you know. All you have to do is text the word Queens. That's Queens. That's Queens to 87948. That's 87948. That's Queens to 87948. Yes? If you want.
Yes, it's really easy. You know, we talking hot topics, and it's only going to get better because why? We already doing the thing. So you want to make sure that you don't miss us by typing the word Queens to 87948. That's Queens to 87948. All right, I got a couple of comments I want to bring up because this is really a hot topic. And the first one is from Miss Incognito. What, lady? We will do those jobs you claim we won't if they would pay fair wages. You have the same WS talking points I hear on television. Please. Well, didn't I just say, why aren't we talking about the companies who are hiring? Are you listening? Is this thing on? I literally said to you that why are we not calling out the companies who are hiring these illegal immigrants at such a lower pace? So ain't no, hey lady, what we gonna do? Let's start calling a spade a spade. Also, there was another comment that said, why did I just lose it? I'll find it again. I'm so sorry. So I'm actually going to go back to you, Marlo. So can America sustain a mass deportation operation without violating basic human rights? Because we're supposed to be, hey.
You're not going to be able to do it. And I mean, if you listen to the man that he's appointed, the borders are like, I'm always saying Trump is the clown at the circus, right? You got to watch the ringmaster. You got to watch the lion tamer. You got to watch all the other people because he's just a clown. The person that he's putting in charge, or the person that he wants to appoint as the border czar, has said he don't care how it gets done. He wants to get it done. I mean, he said that. He understands that there will be casualties. He understands that it'll be messy and it'll be ugly and it won't have great optics, but he's not concerned with that because his concern is to get who they feel are undesirable people out of the country, right? Not talking about Asian people because of this is about perception. This is about who we feel are valuable and who we feel are not valuable in terms of people. And just to address incognito, I've said on here before, this is a country that was built and enjoyed hundreds of years of free labor. After the hundreds of years of free labor, they enjoyed years, decades of child labor, right? Where little kids were working in very, very dangerous environments. So this is not a pro-worker country, right? There's nothing about a Trump agenda that's going to be pro-worker where you think you're going to be picking oranges and making a fair wage. It's not going to happen, right? So I think that we got to be really, we got to understand what this is, right? And this is really a war on, this is the haves and the have-nots, the very beginning, right? So this is phase one of the haves and the have-nots in this country. And I think it's great to say, pay us a fair wage, but who's going to do it? I shared in our group amongst us that there's a father and son that were recently indicted, or they pled guilty. They have a Brazilian restaurant. They were running a scheme to bring people in here illegally. They were coaching people on how to say they were coming here as asylum seekers, telling them what to say so that they could stay without having to go through the normal processes of acquiring a visa. So this is, the corporations are not on your side in this. Like, I need people to be realistic. You're not about to get $42 an hour to pick these oranges because we getting rid of the illegal migrants. Like, it's not going to happen.
I agree. And it seems we've gotten the trolls out. We've stepped on people's toes. So instead of you just bashing us and deciding that you just think that we're crazy, why don't you start giving solutions? Then maybe we can have a conversation, because you're in the wrong place and with the wrong host with that. So troll on, because this is a very serious topic, and how it's going to be pulled off is going to be, it's going to be messy and it's going to be nasty. And you can't tell me it's not based in elitism as well as racism. Big Mac agrees with me. Big Mac is here every day. He says this is going to be a hot mess. And I agree that it's going to be a hot mess, but it's nonetheless something that we have to deal with, because this is what this administration is planning on doing. Now, I want to run a second part of this video so we can continue this conversation. There's no way we'll be able to tackle everything in an hour, but this is something that we also need to hear what is being said. So let's run that second video, and then we'll
Estimated
continue.
4 million families in America who have mixed immigration status. So I'm talking about parents who might be here illegally, but the kids are here legally. Your borders are.
You're talking about separation.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are two aspects to this. Your borders are, Tom Homan said, they can be deported together.
Correct.
Is that the plan?
Well, that way you keep well, I don't want to be breaking up families. So the only way you don't break up the family is you keep them together, and you have to send them all back. Even
kids who are here legally?
Well, what you're going to do if they want to stay with the father? Look, we have to have rules and regulations. You can always find something out, like, this doesn't work, that doesn't work. I'll tell you what's going to be horrible. When we take a wonderful young woman who's with a criminal, and they show the woman, and she could stay by the law, but they show the woman being taken out, or they want her out, and your cameras are focused on her as she's crying, as she's being taken out of our country.
Let me ask you.
He can never answer in straightforward form. He always has to go off on the rails. He didn't answer the question. So I'm going to ask you, Athena, do mass deportation policies align with America's values as a nation that was built by immigrants and slavery?
I will say that mass deportation policies, I think America is a pro-immigrant country. Pretty much everybody who was on a ship brought here, which is the vast majority of the population, is on there. But I do think that there's something to be said. I do not like, and I have to be very vocal about this, Biden administration just carte blanche allowing people to come here with no process. I understand the immigration process can be a very lengthy and frustrating and expensive process, as someone who has undergone that process, having to learn things that most Americans don't even know about their own country. And thankfully, my father was a very smart man and did our filing, but it's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to pay for an immigration lawyer, to pay the application fees. Most of us who come here do not get the type of jobs that will pay adequate amount of money to even properly file. I empathize and sympathize with other people trying to come to this country, and they couldn't do so by legal means. I was fortunate enough to have a father that was in a profession that is still drastically needed in this country. And I'm also in a profession where I would qualify for an H-1B visa. And I went to accounting school, and there was a lot of Chinese students studying accounting to get that H-1B visa so they can legally come here. What I will say is this. I do think that there needs to be a more nuanced and delicate approach that was discussed in the video that Trump is talking about, especially if there are already workers that are in specific industries like we listed. To pack them up and send them back would cause even further issues and tax dollars. I'm like, where is all this money coming from? Right. But I do think a drastic change needs to happen, even as an immigrant myself. And I do think that there needs to be some deportation that happens, unfortunately.
And, I think that is what a misconception people think about all the time, is that just because I feel that everybody has a right to come here the right way. It's a right way and there's a wrong way. And it is what it is. So if you want to stay, you really should work toward the right way. Is it easy? Hell no. How do I know? Because I sell in Portugal and America, and I see the requirements that Portugal has you go through in order to even become a temporary resident. So it's not an easy process, but it's worth it if you want to be here. But I want to pull some of the comments that we got off of Instagram about how the world is looking at this and how some people are viewing this. Penny's daughter said, as a Black African-American, this does not concern me. So what do y'all make for Sunday dinners? There's a lot of us, we consider the 93% of Black women who are now like, don't ask me anymore. You do it. It's your problem. Mystical said he's not going to deport Latinos. Immigration means Jamaicans, Africans, and Haitians. I'm not really sure that that is correct. The next comment said, it's funny people think this is just Spanish people here illegally. Exactly. Because they're coming from all over the world. True Coop said, this is why I will never be able to understand why did all of these Latino people vote for him. I was so shocked to see the voting stats. I think a lot of us were shocked about a lot of things during this election. Darlin Nikki says, congratulations to those who voted for him. This is now your nightmare. I'm minding my own Black indigenous business. And the Lincoln lawyer says there isn't the infrastructure for mass deportation. Not enough police, judges, immigration lawyers, prosecutors, not to mention the impact on the hospitality, construction, and farming. As usual, he's running his mouth to appease white supremacists, but will ultimately do nothing. That's a lot to unpack. Marlo, I would like to hear some of your initial thoughts on some of those comments. Do you feel that way? I know they were across the board, but what was your initial thought on hearing some of those comments?
Well, I think I go to cost, right? I think obviously people vote however they vote. I know a lot of people were saying they were voting to keep the Venezuelan gangsters out, right? People were saying that they were voting for Trump and for this immigration policy for many reasons. I think that my thing is cost, because everything in the government costs money. It's not free to deport people. It is not free to go through the immigration process. Even if you decide you rounding up everybody without a U.S. birth certificate, putting them on a bus, where do the buses come from? Where do the gases come from? Where does the drivers of the buses and the gas come from, right? Like there's always a cost associated with this. And I think that the same person that passed these massive tax cuts that put us in a situation where we're in a deficit. Somebody mentioned the deficit in the comments earlier. That same person who has spent his own companies into the ground. Like, let's be honest, the bankruptcies are real, whether he wants to acknowledge them or not. What is going to happen with the cost of these mass deportations? Like, I think that is what every American citizen should be concerned about. How are we going to pay for this and tariffs and oil exploration unlimited? All of this stuff comes out of your pocket at some point or another, right? Whether it's during the early phases or somewhere later down the line. But I think that cost and how do we do it without it being a total disaster?
And I think it's just a knee-jerk reaction. You know, people are saying this in principle, but they really haven't thought this out, because I want to be very clear about something else Trump said and did. Did you know that he went to the Caribbean, a couple of the countries over there, and said, hey, will you take all the illegal immigrants that can't go back to their regular country? And they said, hell no. So, you know, he's not thought this out. This is not something that is going to happen in the course of a year. I feel it, you know, instills fear in many people, but we're going to continue to talk about that aspect as well. So we're going to take a short break and we'll be right back.
You want to grow your money and not blow your money, as Constance says, check us out at flynubianmoney.com. There's all kinds of resources, programs, videos, resources. In 2024, there's no reason to be broke when there's information all around us. So get your money right. flynubianmoney.com.
Did you hear what she said? There is no reason for you to be broke, because there are many resources all around us, and we have free resources for you. 2025 is almost here. In a blink of an eye, we're going to be celebrating all anxiety. Okay. So to get you right with your money, we have free resources. Please go to our website. There's no excuse. FlyNubianMoney.com, where we can help you get your money right and your money tight. All right. So listen, we still thinking. Now listen, ladies, I think we holding it down. The thing up. I want to know if you think if it would be better to invest in immigration reform rather than mass deportation.
Honestly, I think that's what they're going to do. They had that bill. Big Mac brought it up. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
But Big Mac brought it up. And they had that bill that they had, and they were going to hire more people for the border, more security workers, increase border patrol. And he killed it so that he would have something to run on, right? Me knowing Mike Johnson, my congressman, who is as weaselly as they come, he is going to reintroduce this bill on January 21st. They're going to sign it on January 22nd, and it's going to be the administration's first big win. So before they go into putting people on buses and mass deportations, that bill that they killed this summer will be passed before the end of January. That's for sure. Sorry.
I agree. But Athena, tap in.
Listen, I think that is definitely going to be what happens. I think there's going to be, regardless of, you know, the mass deportation stuff, you know, Trump, personally, every time Trump says something, I don't know why everyone gets all jumpy, because even in previous administration, there was a lot of promises made that he did not fulfill on because of, you know, the branches of government and things like that. So when he says stuff, I'm like, okay, well, we'll see what actually happens. I do think there will be some investments in refining the immigration process. And I do think that there will probably be some sensationalism around people being sent back. Like in his previous administration, there were videos of people in the aluminum foil blankets and all of that. And then celebrities like 21 Savage being scooped up and things like that. But I honestly, and I don't know why, but I honestly don't feel like it's going to be this whole mass deportation like that's being advertised. I think there's a little bit of sensationalism with that.
I have to agree with that, but I also am very concerned about the fact that he has the House and the Senate. And he also has the judiciary system. So I this time around, I think it's a little different. And I think that they'll be able to slide in a whole lot more things than they wanted to before and couldn't because of the balance. But when things are not balanced, this is when we're going to start seeing some things that we didn't think was going to really happen. So it's going to be a wild roller coaster ride nonetheless. I do want to say that we had a comment. Rachel CD said Donald Trump's father migrated to the United States from Germany. He sure did. He sure did. So I find it very interesting how everybody wants to pick and choose. But let's talk money, because we can't get away from that. I mean, you've mentioned, Marlo, what we're going to do about busing and things like that. But let's look at these stats. In 2022, there were about 28.4 million immigrants employed in the United States workforce. Now, what does that look like for us? Undocumented immigrants paid $96.7 billion in federal, state, and local taxes in 2022. Most of that amount, $59.4 billion, I didn't say million, I said billion, was paid to the federal government, while the remaining $37.3 billion was paid to state and local governments. For every 1 million undocumented immigrants who reside in the country, public services received $8.9 billion in additional tax revenue. More than a third of the tax dollars paid by undocumented immigrants go toward payroll taxes dedicated to funding programs that these workers are barred from accessing. Undocumented immigrants paid $25.7 billion in Social Security taxes, $6.4 billion in Medicare taxes, and $1.8 billion in unemployment insurance taxes in 2022. Listen, we're not talking chump change. We are literally talking billions of dollars that will now be removed from our country. And they're already talking about gutting Social Security and things of that nature. But, you know, I want to tie this into what this also speaks about in the world, because the world is watching, and the world is watching our economy. So, Marlo, what message do you think that this policy of mass deportation sends to the rest of the world about America and our economy?
Well, I don't know if they are really as concerned about our economy, but I think that in certain ways, as America goes, so do other countries. I know that this same kind of far right uprising that we're having, they're having in many European countries, right? There's a lot of anti-immigrant rhetoric going on in France. There's a lot of that going on in the UK. So I think that how America moves will kind of dictate how other countries move, good or bad, right? Like if they see that our mass deportation program is a big old shit show, then they're probably going to try to go with something a little bit softer, or shape it, or maybe think it through a little bit more. But they certainly are going to wait and see how it's executed here, so that they can start to address their issues that they have overseas. Because a lot of countries, you know, even in Africa, Africans are dealing with a Chinese immigration problem. The Chinese have an influx of Middle Eastern people coming. So everybody is dealing with some sort of a border issue, some influx of different people coming into their culture and their world. And so we shall see what happens. How will people follow what the United States government has done?
And I think that's an important point. As we are seeing things change in the world, America is not the only country that is experiencing a lot of political uproar. As we saw this weekend, the Syrian government has completely fallen. As we also have seen is South Korea, the current leader there, you know, decried and tried to overthrow the government, and the people said no. The people pushed back. So, Athena, how do you see deporting millions of people actually destabilize economies in other countries? Because we are being looked at. Some of them are following our exact format. I know for a fact Germany's watching us with no joke. Germany's always been watching us for no joke. That's how they got the whole regime of the Nazis. This is how we treated the Black people here in our country. So how do you think that this will affect their economies?
I think that everyone looks to America for the standard. I think our media, as powerful as it is on a global stage. So what we do, a lot of countries will follow. If we are mass sending people back to their original countries, I would imagine other Western countries will be doing the same. And I would also question if those countries are even equipped to even take their people back. A lot of other countries benefit from America's GDP and economy. A lot of immigrants and foreign people do send money back to help support families in other countries and regions. So there is some form of economic loss that will be experienced from those countries as well. And that in America. But my issue with immigration and mass deportation is also this. If America is going to send back illegal immigrants, then to counter that, there must be some programs or solution in place to then employ the people here and funnel them to those type of jobs. However, in America, there is a labor shortage and there's a specialized knowledge shortage. Unfortunately, the education system here does not support those two types of work. Somebody was in the comments saying that, okay, if the migrants left, white people or American people would take those jobs. If American people were willing to take those jobs at that low rate, then those companies wouldn't even have those people come over in the first place. If the solution is to raise the wages of those jobs, okay, but then the prices of those goods are going to raise and come back to the American people because corporations don't believe in taking no kind of cuts. So that is not realistic either. So that is why I'm saying that there needs to be a multi-layered solution that we will, even if we came up with a solution tomorrow, we wouldn't fully even know the effects, if it's even effective, until decades down the line.
And you bring up a very important point. I don't believe anybody already believes that. I believe we all believe that it is an issue and it needs to be addressed. But this is such a ball of confusion that it needs to be unraveled string by string so that the people who allow them to work in their fields at these also are being pulled in and being held accountable. I watched a very interesting TikTok on this subject, that I believe it was a farmer who was out of like Utah. And he stated that, there's layers to this. He puts out job advertisements everywhere, and he doesn't get any Americans. And he specifically said white Americans to come and do this job for the pay that they're offering. So they get a lot of immigrants who come and they take the jobs. However, it is allowed for them to do this because they pay an extra tax in order to keep those immigrants hired. Why are they allowed to pay a tax so that the immigrants can work? Why not call them more accountable? So, like I said, this is a ball of confusion. But Marlo, you brought up a really good point. You said most people kind of look to America, but should they be looking to America as the standard?
No, it's a shit show. Obviously, they shouldn't be looking to America as the standard, right? I think that America is, boisterous and loud and braggadocious, and it looks, from afar, it looks like something really great. And so we're able to, there's been a lot of great marketing around this country, and what the promise of this country. But I don't think that in terms of governance, we've really shown anybody that we're a gold standard for like governance. We certainly aren't a democracy. We're about 14 bananas short of a banana republic, actually. When you think about the way that some of our lawmakers are behaving and some of the rhetoric that they're spouting. So I don't think it should be, but I think that they will still look. America still has clout and power politically, and I think that those governments will still look to us and see how we're handling, like I said, for the good and the bad. I think that they're going to wait and see what happens here so that they can figure out what to do there and probably try to do it better. But this is, again, nobody's making enough money to feed their family picking seasonal fruit, y'all. It is not going to happen. I don't know what the answer is for corporate people to see Americans and humans as people and want to pay them a living wage. But I see a lot of comments where people are like, oh, well, if they're gone, that's going to open up, black jobs. Is it going to open up black jobs? I think that that's very unrealistic. I think that people that are telling themselves that, I think you never went picked an orange before, because you wouldn't be saying that.
Baby, as a kid, we had fruit trees. And that was a part of, I grew up in the country. We had cherry trees, apple trees, pear trees. And let me tell you, on the days that I had to go back there and pick that fruit, I was not a happy girl. All right. That is, and I'm as far as picking fruit as I want to be right now. Yes, it tastes good. It's delicious when you're doing it for your own household. But I cannot imagine doing that for 12-hour days in the heat every single day. I'm sorry, I don't see that.
And I wouldn't even pick. I would go and shake and just however many could fall, and that would be my little collection for the holidays. Like, y'all don't want to be out there picking fruit and stuff. That's
no. It's easy to say if you haven't done it. Well, we still got more to talk about because we even got another video that we want to tap into. So we're going to take this short break. We'll be right back.
Fly Nubian Money is now on Spotify. Yes, yes, yes. We are on Spotify. So if you can't watch us, you can listen to us. All you have to do is search Fly Nubian Money and we will appear. All of our episodes. Make sure that you leave a 5-star rating and reviews so other people that come along and are looking for a good show to watch, they'll follow us too. If you are interested in being on Fly Nubian Money, sorry, I don't have any spaces. I'm just playing. If you are interested in being a queen or a king on Fly Nubian Money for the day, please reach out to me. I'm at info@realvirtual.net. That's info@realvirtual.net. Also, if you need help with your business, go ahead and send me an email for that too. Okay. I've said enough. Now back to the show.
Magical email does a whole lot. If you want to be on the show, because obviously you talking to us today, you're talking, and we would love to have you on the panel as well. If you're interested in being a guest, we would welcome you. So all you have to do is email us at info@realvirtual.net. And I'm going to spell that info@REEL virtual, virtual.net. Come on in and talk to us. We would love to have you. Now, listen, I have to address a comment because I think it's right. Big Mac says none of us in this chat is going to pick oranges for $7.25 an hour. And I think that is true. Now, I will also tell you that living in Florida, a lot of the times the immigrants, they rent houses together. Because they're making low amounts, they still pay their rent on time and in the future, but there are usually 2 and 3 families living in one home. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to do that, viewers? Because I would like to know your answer on that. Since you have the solution, we want to hear if you would be.
You know what? I have a solution. Yes. I was thinking about it during the commercial break. I was thinking about it because, he's going to have Elon in the government efficiency department that has just been created out of thin air. To replace the workers that will no longer be there, we're just going to get Tesla robots to do it. We're going to program all the Tesla robots and they're going to pick the oranges and stuff.
I would say that would be good, considering that Kim Kardashian and many other people are buying these robots going to do it. Okay. I mean, but you ain't going to have that. But they don't ever think of these things outside. But I will say that Florida is looking at some different options because they're forced to now. They are, starting to do a little bit more with what they're doing with technology. California, Texas, and Florida host 47% of total undocumented immigrants. We know that for a fact. Now, Texas and Florida are now fighting back and trying to get them out of the states, but California is like, come on. And I have been to the areas, selling in those areas where most of them are picking the fruit there. So, and there's been an increase of people coming to work there as well. But listen, there's another part of this. There's another part of this video that I want us to address. So we're going to sit back, watch this video, and we'll be right back.
You about some of your other promises on this topic. You promised to end birthright citizenship on day one. Is that still your plan?
Yeah, absolutely.
The 14th Amendment, though, says that, quote, all persons born in the United States are citizens. Can you get around the 14th Amendment with an executive action?
We're going to have to get a change. We'll maybe have to go back to the people, but we have to end it. We're the only country that has it.
Through an executive action?
We're the only country that has it. Do you know, if somebody sets a foot, just a foot, 1 foot, you don't need to, on our land, Congratulations, you are now a citizen of the United States of America. Yes, we're going to end that because it's ridiculous.
Through executive action?
Well, if we can, through executive action. I was going to do it through executive action, but then we had to fix COVID first, to be honest with you. We have to end it.
Fact check, we are not the only country that does that. Another fact check, you didn't fix COVID. You avoided it. Another fact check, okay, we'll start with your family. We'll start with your wife, and we'll start with your children, and then we'll start with you, and then where we're going to be. I'm just asking. I just really need to know that, because if we're calling people out, then why are we not calling out those? Marlo, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that, on his comments and how he addressed that. Do you agree, or do you disagree with his rambling?
Well, I'm never going to agree with a ramble. I could ramble myself. If I would like to agree with a ramble, it'd be my own ramble. But I want to actually address somebody. There's a little back and forth in the comments about prison workers, right? And prison labor, and could they potentially do this? And the state penitentiary in Louisiana, Angola, is a farm. They got soybeans, they got greens, they got peas, they got cattle, they got everything over there, right? The problem with prison labor is what happens when they get out. So ideally, if the United States cared, they would have turned those Angola prisoners loose on farms across America, right? And we would have had trained, skilled laborers doing those jobs at low wages because they're re-entering society, right? If we wanted to do it right. This country don't want to do it right. They want to do it fast. They want to do it cheap. And that's where we are with the migrant labor. And until we just honest about what the goals of the upper echelon of the country are, then we're not going to be honest about how to solve this problem. Yeah, we could use it. It'll be great. I think the prisoners that are sewing tags into lingerie, the ones that are making whatever, like they making all kind of stuff all over the country, right? I think it'd be great if all of them re-entered, did low entry level jobs, and then work their way up if that's what they wanted. But I think we just aren't having the right conversations in this country, because unless we have a clown like Donald Trump getting everybody riled up, where we all wide-eyed and wondering what's going on, then we're not paying attention to what's going on. And exactly. So I think all of these ideas, everybody has great ideas. Take them to your congressman. Take them to your senator. Take them to people that are in decision-making positions. Go testify at your state legislature, right? Go testify before Congress. It's not that hard. Go sign up, get you a card, and tell them what you want, because it's great ideas, but the reality is capitalism. And the reality is corporate profits. And the reality is board members want increased profits year over year. So how do we solve for X? That is where we are with this immigration issue. And that's how it's gotten so out of hand, is, you know, what most of our problems are: corporate greed.
Exactly. And once again, we're right back on putting the heat on the corporations and the companies. But listen, one thing he tapped into is he's talking about our Constitution. This means changes of Constitution and how he is going to override that. Are we opening up a very serious can of worms, Athena, messing with our Constitution?
Yes, I think that if Trump is successful in altering the Constitution to allow for certain things to happen, that will be a precedent that we in some dangerous waters with that. We in some murky waters. And you reminded me of something, Lala, that I did not think about, was Republicans have control of the Senate and the House in the current moment. So yes, it would be easier to pass things through. And then let's not forget, certain aspects of Project 2025 as well. So, we are definitely in some trying times. Now is the time to be serious. But I also want to touch on something that did not necessarily got said in today, which is, I think a lot of this anti-immigration, anti-immigrant hate is what I'm going to use for that word, is because a lot of people are just frustrated A lot of people don't have the things that they need. A lot of people are frustrated about how much work they have to do just to pay basic bills and not really recognize the American dream, where there is to buy a home with a white picket fence or whatever the case may be. Especially people my generation, millennials and below, have a hard time realizing certain aspects of that, and there's a lot of apathy and not feeling encouraged during this time. And this is a dangerous time and a dangerous place for a country to be in, because this is where you will find groups that will rise up and find people to hate, like immigrants, like whomever, anti this. And then that sows the seeds for civil unrest, for civil war, for something like a Holocaust to happen. So what I want to remind everyone here is, even though a lot of us are frustrated with our mostly financial standing in this country, that we also need to check ourselves so that we do not repeat history.
Honey, how many t-shirts can I make out of everything that you just said? Because you really did hit a lot of really major important topics and things that we need to address. But we also talk about, this is ramification across the board. But Marlo, I feel like the world is really not, or especially Americans, are not really understanding the economics of this. How might the public opinion on mass deportation change if the true costs were actually widely known?
I don't know that it would change much, because what Athena hit on is that little underlying ugliness that comes every generation in America, right? It's been everybody. It's been Black people. We're the favorite target. We're the most consistent target, but it's been Jews, it's been Italians, it's been Irish, right? It's been Chinese. So I think that there's just an underlying fear and hatred of the other in this country. And I think that, politicians can get in rooms and they can pit big cities against small towns, right? The people in the big cities don't understand your small town values, and the people here don't understand you. And we used to have this, everybody talk about mining towns and production towns that used to create, and how America used to create things and make things. Nobody talks about how outsourcing got rid of that, right? Nobody talks about how we got to the point where we have all these factories and plants that aren't producing things. They're just buildings that are just abandoned, creating blight in mostly Black neighborhoods. We don't talk about the outsourcing. We never talk about things realistically in this country. We always talk about it from some hate-filled, misunderstanding standpoint. And then years later, we're like, oh, we didn't really understand that because this was going on, but we thought that was going on. And I think a lot of it is to uphold white supremacy, right? And it is to uphold these kind of values that this country says it has that really are not inclusive at their core. At their absolute core, they're not inclusive values. So I think we are, just put your seatbelts on, kids, and pay attention to what matters to you, because it's going to be a lot of rhetoric. But I don't think that anything will get past this, because there is just an underlying fear of the other in this country, right? And whether the other is gay, transgender, Black, Asian, it don't matter. If you other and you over there, the people are going to find a way to campaign against you and make other people scared of you, hate you, and be worried that you're coming to take their things.
I agree. Oh man, do I agree. And we're just so spread thin. I always tell people I liken it into like you playing dodgeball, but instead of one ball we're trying to dodge, we have so many balls being thrown at us that we can only focus at one at a time. But meanwhile, you're getting hit with the rest of the balls because you can't dodge them all. We have so many things that need to be corrected in America. I don't think that this is the only issue that we have, but this brings up a very good question. We focus on our Black community here. So Athena, Dr. Vibe actually asked a really good question, and it's asked often, but I want to hear what you have to say. Was the American dream meant for Black people or immigrants? Do you feel that it was, or just for the elite?
I think that the American dream was probably made for the elite. However, since there's ADOS, FBA, B1, and all of that, the American dream is definitely ours for the taking as well. And you can't be campaigning for no reparations and saying that you indigenous and saying that, you know, you're native to this land if you do not believe that the American dream is also part of your inheritance and your birthright. And put it like this, immigrants are coming over here to make their American dream happen. So I think that whether or not it was originally meant for us in mind, or if we were originally supposed to be used as a footstool to prop up others in the American dream, that we definitely deserve our portion of it. But now is the time, right? And I think the issue that I see the most with the Black community is a mindset issue and waiting and seeing and hoping. Hope is not a strategy, right? So while you are trying to get, you know, your reparations, and I'm coming out with reparations 2025 t-shirts soon, honey, we need to put some strategies in place to do something. And my advice is for us to do something, whether that is the flynubianmoneyclub.com, whether that is to take my AI business launch course, whether that is to do whatever. Now is the time for us to galvanize, because clearly you are going to have to take the American dream because they're not trying to drop it in your lap.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Dropping gems as we would do in the poetry club. Ooh, this topic. We could talk for hours, but we're going to take a deep breath. We have one more commercial for you. We'll be right back. We're claiming it. 2025 is your year for home ownership, and we are going to get you to that goal. Who's we? Fly Nubian Money Club and me, Laura Lala Key, international real estate agent, and we have a wonderful session for you about how to get you started on the path to home ownership. We'll cover the steps. We'll answer a lot of the questions that most people have, because when you are educated about this process, it makes it more fun and a little easier than if you step into it without knowing anything. I can't wait to spend some time with you to get your juices flowing and to get the excitement flowing, because 2025 is your year. Make sure that you come to this class and you invite someone else, because it really is important to own your own piece of land. I look forward to seeing you. Bye. I am so excited about this class. We moved it back a week. So you have time to sign up for this class, and you just have to go to flynubianmoneyclub.com. We are kicking this off. You're getting the first month free so that you can see just how much value you're getting. And we are, with me, we're going to teach you the steps, these steps, not just how to get a house, but the steps once you are ready to buy, so you can understand the process, so you won't be confused during the process. So you're going to get me for a couple of hours. All right. You think you can handle Lala for a couple of hours? Well, just come on in and find out. So all you have to do is sign up at flynubianmoneyclub.com, and let's get some education, because 2025 is going to be a journey, baby. And we might as well get your foot in some land somewhere. Let's get you started on your generational wealth. Now, listen, ladies, we handled this. We held it down. And I know we didn't get to talk about everything that we wanted to talk about, but it is time for us to wind it down. I'm going to start with you, Marlo. What are your final thoughts on this, and where can we find you?
My final thought is don't be afraid, be engaged. Don't be worried, pay attention, right? We can't do anything about the decisions that are going to be made in Washington, D.C. over the next 4 years. Some of them will benefit us, some of them won't. But you're responsible for you. You are responsible for you. You're responsible for your family. And I think this is a good time to take advantage of any kind of networking. You know, Athena mentioned all the great tools that Fly Nubian Money has. Start something of your own. Black people, get back to having dinner parties where we talk about stuff that's real. Get back to having good, full-throated conversations and debates. If you look at TV from 1960s and 70s, they would have Black thought leaders on all the time. I think we need to get back to that. We need to get back to a place where our thoughts, our vision, our ideas are being expressed, and we are using these outlets like Fly Nubian Money to have these kind of conversations. Because if y'all think that we were locked out before, as these people are moving DEI out as faster than it came in, we're going to need each other. So I'm going to say, let's lean into each other. Let's lean into love, get your money right, get your honey right, figure out what your American dream is, figure out what your Black American dream is, and pursue that. I think that, what we know is we can't always look to them folks for how to be an example of how to live, because they don't always do the right thing. Look to yourself, build your community. I stress to everybody, build a community around you that's going to be strong, that's going to support you, that's going to love you, and y'all can acquire things together and be happy and communal and live a dream regardless of what lawmakers are doing, because they going to always do something to your detriment. If you're looking for me, I'm all over the internet. I create video and written content under my name, Marlo Layson. I also am on social media. You can visit me on Instagram. I'm actually about to embark on a body building journey starting in 2025. So if you want to watch me try to get to my first amateur competition in May, you should start following me now on Instagram. I am Olra Marlo. That's my name. Backward, forward with a little underscore on the end. I'm also on Blue Sky as Lo McLeod.
Oh, that's going to be fun to follow. I'm excited for you, Marlo. I'm all in. I'll be following and stalking you. That's a great goal. Athena, what is your final thoughts and where can we find you?
All right, y'all. So a goddess is coming through today. All right. Like I said, hope is not a strategy. So all of you people relying on hope. Listen, Martin Luther King hoped and Malcolm X hoped, and we still in the same place. So now it's time for us to put strategy into place. A lot of us, the reality is a lot of us are upset because we don't have money. Money is our number one problem. Money is the thing that is causing us to not have these successful relationships. The lack of money is the things that's causing us this frustration. And to be honest, if your money was together, you wouldn't be worrying about these immigrants because you would already be out here getting it. Now, if you want to learn how to create your own business or take your idea to income with seamless time and a lot of the steps from a CPA and how to seamlessly start and launch an AI-powered business, I have a course called the AI Business Launch that is perfect for you. Also, I have other courses and workshops that will help you get your finances together. For those of you who like to ride the fence, because there's a couple of you who like to ride the fence, honey, get the courses now, because in 2025 I will be raising my prices. So like Fat Joe, yesterday's price is not today's price. So if you have been on the fence, get it before December 31st. My name is Athena. I am the founder of We Wealth Women. You can find all my information at elevatewithathena.com. There you can find my social media links, my courses and coaching, and all things Athena.
Absolutely love it. Make sure you go stalk and chicken hawking, because she's got a lot of things there at her website and she makes it easy. So go ahead and go on and follow the goddess. We already know she's got it together. You better get in before the new year, because she's going to raise them prices. And here is what my final thought is. This is not an easy 1, 2, 3 solved topic. But I fully believe that America was built on the premise of being the great American melting pot. Call me silly, that's what I grew up knowing. We even sang a song that said, "Give me your tired and your poor," in many songs back in the day. And while there is a huge desire from many people abroad to live in America, it must be done correctly and without them feeling oppressed for doing so. We have many living here undocumented, doing the work that most Americans turn a blind eye to. So why not offer them citizenship the right way before shipping them back? Also calling into account our corporations. This would be a daunting task. However, the threat of deportation will also put a serious burden on our economy and workforce. And let's not forget, we have citizens living abroad who are also being sent back home to America. So this is not a one-way street. This is also not only for the rich to come here and claim that other people are coming the wrong way. Even the man who is getting ready to enter the White House didn't necessarily have his wives come here the right way. So this should also apply to this family. But whatever your dream is, you can achieve it. and never, ever allow other people's perception of you to be your reality. I made it easy as well. You can find me at bit.ly/Laura Key Info. And guys, we have this class coming up on this Saturday. So we want you to don't miss it. Sign up right now so that you can come in and learn about home ownership. But also I want to let you know that we come on every day, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. And we have a lot of different platforms that we go live on. You see that we have a spirited conversation. We have people engaging with us. And if you have a business that you are really trying to get out there to be seen, why not team up with us? Because we can get you seen to the audience that you may be trying to tap into. And let me tell you, they're looking for you too. Things are really changing. People are starting to really look at the businesses that we are patronizing and spending our money on. So if you're interested in advertising with us, once again, our magical email address, you want to send an email to info@realvirtual.net. And in the subject line, you want to put ad rates. That way, Fly Nubian Money ad. And that way we can send you the rates to advertise with us. Now, ladies, it's been a big hour. We've talked about a lot. We've actually covered a lot. And I think, honestly, if maybe somebody would have just put it in our laps, we probably could have been the ones who came up with the solution. But ain't nobody asking us, right? But otherwise, we are here Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will see you tomorrow. Be blessed and be known that you are the one who can make any kind of change in your life. We'll see you tomorrow, 1 p.m. Bye. Peace out.